They fined me for having a dog, so I exposed the HOA's secret spending. It all started with a dog. Not a dangerous one, not a nuisance. Just a quiet, goofy, slightly overweight golden retriever mix I adopted from a shelter named Rocky. I wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't looking to make a point. I just wanted a companion. The neighborhood I live in is the kind you'd see in a magazine. Clean driveways, trimmed hedges, matching mailboxes. A place where everyone waves, but no one really talks. The kind of place where everything looks perfect on the outside, but once you start scratching the surface, the rot shows. 1 week after bringing Rocky home, I got my first letter from the HOA. It was a fine, $75, for failing to register a pet over 25 pounds. Rocky weighed 26, 1 pound over. Apparently, there's a form you need to file if your pet weighs more than a sack of potatoes. Fine. I paid it, submitted the paperwork, didn't think much of it. But then another fine came in. $50 for leaving a leash on the front porch. Then $30 for alleged urine damage to a patch of grass the size of a dinner plate. Then $90 for a noise complaint about Rocky barking, even though my immediate neighbors told me they never heard a thing, and certainly never complained. It was relentless. Week after week, nitpicky citations, arbitrary rules, and escalating penalties. I started to feel like I was being targeted. I wasn't the only one with a dog. I wasn't even the only one with an unfiled pet form, but I was the only one getting letters like clockwork. Then, one day, something strange happened. I was walking Rocky near the HOA clubhouse when the janitor, Jim, waved me over. Jim's an older guy, quiet, keeps to himself. He's been cleaning up around the neighborhood for years. He said, "You're the guy with the dog, right? Just keep your head down. The board's been singling people out lately." I asked him why. That's when he leaned in and said something that changed everything. "They don't care about dogs," he said. "They care about distractions. If people are fighting over leashes and pet forms, no one's asking about the real stuff, like where the renovation money went." I paused. "What renovation money?" He nodded toward the clubhouse. Last year, they budgeted 60 grand for upgrades. New furniture, new AC, lighting, floors. It was approved in a closed session, but nothing changed. No receipts, no upgrades, just poof, gone. I didn't know what to say. $60,000? Just gone? I couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, I stayed up digging through HOA emails, meeting notes, anything I could find in the public archives, and sure enough, there was mention of a payment. Clearview Contractors, Clubhouse Revitalization Project. That was it. No itemized report, no breakdown, just a lump sum approved in a closed-door meeting that no one seemed to remember. The contractor, Clearview, had no website, no reviews, no business address I could verify. It felt off. So I submitted a formal request to view the HOA's financial records, something I'm legally allowed to do as a dues-paying homeowner. They ignored it, then told me the records were being digitized, then said I'd have to wait for the next quarterly board meeting. Fine. I waited, and while I waited, I started gathering more. I talked to former board members. One of them, anonymously, told me there had never been a vote on the Clearview contract, that it was approved informally by Sharon, the board president, and signed off without debate. At that next HOA meeting, I came prepared. I wore a small microphone, hid a GoPro in my bag, and when it came time for open discussion, I stood up and calmly asked, "Can the board provide documentation for the $60,000 payment to Clearview contractors?" Silence. Sharon stammered through an answer about how the project was approved by the previous board and how the receipts were archived. But I was ready. I handed out printed copies of a report I'd compiled with screenshots of the non-existent contractor, notes from the anonymous former board member, and a curious detail I'd uncovered. Clearview Contractors was registered as a shell LLC under the name of Sharon's brother-in-law, a man with no background in construction, but a history of forming short-lived companies that received large payments before disappearing. That's when everything fell apart. One of the newer board members stood up and said, "I had no idea about this." Another began flipping through the papers, visibly angry. Homeowners started whispering, then shouting. People demanded an emergency vote. Sharon walked out. The next day, I posted the full video of the meeting online, edited with captions, documents, even voiceover. It went viral in our community. Local news picked it up. The pressure was immediate. Within a week, Sharon resigned. 2 other board members followed. An emergency election was held. I ran, reluctantly, and was elected along with 2 other new members who wanted transparency and reform. One of our first acts was to hire a real auditing firm. They found thousands in misappropriated funds and years of shady bookkeeping. We rewrote the bylaws. Fines now require clear evidence and board approval. Pet policies were overhauled. No more weight restrictions, no more leash fines. And all HOA financials? Publicly available on a website with line-by-line breakdowns. We also gave Jim, the janitor, a raise and a thank you plaque. Because without that one quiet warning, none of this would have come to light. All I wanted was to walk my dog in peace. But they turned a leash fine into a crusade. They wanted to make an example out of me, but in the end, I made an example out of them.